Poppy, a curious and adventurous girl, finds herself wandering deep into a dense forest. She had been following a trail of beautiful flowers, not realizing how far she had strayed from home. As the sun begins to set, she looks around and realizes she's lost. Poppy tries to retrace her steps, but every path she takes seems unfamiliar. The forest is thick with trees and undergrowth, making it difficult to see where she came from. The evening light fades, and the forest grows darker. After walking for what feels like hours, Poppy's stomach begins to growl. She hasn't eaten since morning, and now, lost and alone, she's starting to feel both scared and very hungry. Poppy spots a bush filled with bright, juicy berries. She hesitates for a moment, remembering what her parents taught her about being careful with wild food. But her hunger gets the better of her, and she carefully picks a few, hoping they are safe to eat. Luckily, the berries are sweet and delicious. Poppy eats them eagerly, feeling a little better as her hunger begins to subside. She sits by the bush, feeling a mix of relief and sadness, wishing she could find her way home. As she finishes eating, Poppy hears strange noises in the distance, rustling leaves, snapping twigs, and distant animal calls. The forest, which had seemed magical earlier, now feels eerie and mysterious. Poppy feels a shiver of fear. Poppy knows she needs to find a safe place to spend the night. She spots a large tree with thick roots and a hollowed-out trunk. It looks like a good place to take shelter. She crawls inside, curling up to keep warm. As Poppy sits in the dark, feeling alone, a small firefly flutters into her shelter, its tiny light glowing brightly. Poppy watches it with wonder, feeling a little less scared. The firefly seems to keep her company, its light offering comfort. Exhausted from her day, Poppy slowly drifts off to sleep. The sounds of the forest fade into the background as she dreams of being back home in her warm bed, safe and sound. Poppy wakes up to the sound of birds chirping and sunlight streaming through the leaves. The forest looks less intimidating in the daylight, and Poppy feels a surge of hope. To her surprise, the firefly from the night before is still with her, glowing softly. It flutters around her, and when Poppy stands up, it begins to move in a particular direction. Curious, she decides to follow it. The firefly leads Poppy to a small, clear stream. She kneels down to drink the cool water, feeling refreshed. The stream winds through the forest, and Poppy decides to follow it, hoping it will lead her out of the woods. As Poppy follows the stream, she encounters a few friendly forest animals, a curious deer, a family of rabbits, and a playful squirrel. They don't seem afraid of her, and their presence gives her confidence. After walking for some time, Poppy notices a narrow path that seems to have been made by humans. It's overgrown, but it's clearly a trail. Poppy feels a spark of hope. This path might lead her home. Poppy follows the path, and after a short while, she begins to recognize the landscape. The trees start to thin out, and she sees a familiar hill in the distance. Poppy realizes she's close to home as she nears the edge of the forest. Poppy hears familiar voices calling her name. Her family has been searching for her, worried sick. They spot her and run towards her, hugging her tightly. Poppy feels a wave of relief and happiness as she's reunited with her family. They're overjoyed to see her safe and sound, and they all head back home together, with Poppy telling them about her adventure. Back home, Poppy sits by the fireplace, thinking about her experience. She feels grateful to be home but also proud of herself for being brave in the forest. Poppy's parents talk to her about the importance of staying close and being careful in the woods. Poppy promises to be more cautious in the future, understanding how dangerous it can be to wander off alone. That night, as Poppy lies in bed, she sees the firefly outside her window, glowing softly. It hovers for a moment before flying off into the night. Poppy smiles, feeling that the firefly was her little guardian, guiding her safely home.